Welcome everybody to the Vic Hugo show. Very special guest today. Old friend of mine. We go back middle school days.
Yes,
uh, Miss Adriana, welcome to the show.
thank you so much. I was so excited when you sent me a message because I've been thinking of doing something like this, but I'm like, I didn't even know where to start. So thank you. It's exciting.
Yes, for sure. I'm glad to have you on. And I mean, I know we were gonna have one of your friends, Jen, on. She couldn't get on.
Yes, she has to
Um,
come up.
nah, it's cool. It's cool. Hopefully in the future we can, she can join us. But I did want to cover. Well, I want to start with a quote, right? And then I want to get your feedback on this. Um, where is it? Let me see. Okay, a true friend accepts you who you are, but also helps you become who you should be,
Oh,
right?
I love that. Mm-hmm.
So the reason I want to start with it is because there's a misconception on just friendship itself, right? Like most of us have friends. Like I have friends that I've known since we were little, but not all friendships have gone the way I wanted them to,
Right.
like because people evolve as we grow and everything, and if we have the misconception of, oh, let's let this person be who they want to be, but in reality, you always want to. There's a balance to where you want to push somebody to be greater, or do
Mm-hmm.
you let self destruct? Where do you stand by that, and how do you defend? How do you stand in the middle of it? It's super
Right.
difficult.
It's been very difficult. I, like you, Victor, have gone through so many friendships, some that are still intact, some that are very strong. But I guess I should admit that I don't think that I still keep in touch with anybody, like a strong bond with anybody from elementary, middle school, or high school. I think that the best friendships that I have so far I've met in my adult life. I think that we've all taken different routes, and I'm speaking about people who I grew up with. Yeah, we've all taken different routes, and I really do respect everybody's life decisions. I have friends who became nurses. I have friends who became more of like the strippers. I have friends who became all, yes, they just
Yeah.
became everything, and not that one is better than the other. I respect both, but yeah, we all kind of just took our different paths and just respect that, just a line of respect. I think that's what's essential. And if you see that they're going one way and that's not the way you want to go, then you just make the choice to take a different turn, and that's it. So I don't.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. And the reason I ask, because look, I know you've probably been in the same dilemma to where like there's a certain route that you choose to take, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then there's certain people that will be like, no, why are you doing that? That's not you, bro. Like what? And it's kind of like, oh shit. So, and a lot of people don't see that. They don't see it as a negative thing. They see it, they fall into it, like, oh, well, my friend's something I can do it, so I probably can't do it. So that's, is it hard or not? Is it hard? But how do you know when to stay away from that? You know what I mean? How do you, if to anybody that's in this predicament right now, what advice would you give them in a sense of walk away or try to change his perspective? What approach should they take?
To me, Victor, I'm always going to say this: you come first. Okay, the longest and most important relationship you're ever going to have in life is with yourself, and it's up to you to invest in that relationship, in a friendship, in a marriage, in your role as a parent. There's two people or more investing in those relationships. With you, it's just you. So if you're going through this difficult time with a friend, establish boundaries. I think that we can't lead from the back. So whatever it is that we need to do or that we want to do, we need to be first. So if that friendship, that relationship, whatever it is, and I'm not just saying in friends, I'm saying in family in general, if those relationships are taking a toll on you, they're robbing you of energy, it's time you put yourself first and be able to create that boundary to say, you know what, it's time for me to remove myself from this friendship. I've done that plenty of times. I've removed myself from relationships where I see I don't have energy for thinking about a future or thinking about a project or thinking about anything, because I'm here pouring my energy into a friendship that's essentially not going anywhere. And we have all different types of friendships. We have the celosas, right? The jealous ones, the ones that are like, oh, they're so controlling. And if you have a new friend, they're like, oh, you know. And then we have
Mhm.
uh, the also jealous ones that they see you doing something good and they pretend, to be on your corner, but at the same time, they're kind of pushing you to not do so good. So I think that I've learned to differentiate between the two, to learn when a friendship is solid and real, and to also learn when a friendship is getting toxic. I don't like toxicas as my friends. I really do not. So I've learned by experience, unfortunately. I really have. Me, I don't know. They say that smart people learn from history and dumb people learn from our own experiences, right? I don't know if you've heard anything like that. But in
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Yeah, but in a lot of cases, me ha tocado to be, to learn from my own mistakes. So yeah, I would
Yeah,
just recommend that.
I totally agree, and it's the same, it's because you're right. There is those people that pretend to like be for you and everything. And look, this is for me. It took something really, really bad in my life to happen to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I started seeing like the people that I love, that I showed allegiance to, that I was like, I'll go to war with these people.
Yes.
Like they didn't feel the same way towards me, or at least they said they would, but when it came down to it, it was like, fuck, dude, like I got nobody, and I think everybody hits that point because I'm pretty sure I've caused that for some people too, like friends that needed me at one point, I couldn't be there, they probably felt the same way.
Mhm.
So it wasn't on purpose, and I know that some of those people probably wasn't on purpose either, but I think it just makes you realize, like, dude, you're on this on your own, and the sooner you realize that, the better it is.
Yes, and it's so frustrating sometimes how much energy we put into these friendships and these relationships. When something is genuine and something is real, it comes natural, right? It's free
Yeah.
flowing. We don't have to exert all this energy on it. Like it just comes natural. And if something is causing you so much self conflict, like internal conflict, like it's okay to let it go. It's okay to let it go. And I always think, if we have a purpose in life, right? It jumping into, not ignoring this topic, but I'm saying, like, when we know where we want to go in life, we start choosing different people to surround ourselves with, correct? And
Yeah.
sometimes it's okay that it's not our childhood friend. It's okay that it's not our best friends. Because usually that becomes really stagnant, right? Stagnant water, como
Mhm.
like the I don't know if you catch yourself ever doing this, but I've caught myself when you're at a get together with your friends or you go out to lunch with your friends and you laugh about the same damn joke, like every
Yeah.
time you see each other, correct? Like it's like you do.
Yeah.
You do. You're
Mhm.
stuck. You're stuck, right? We're laughing about the same thing. So I always encourage others to try finding and establishing networking, right? Like you can
Mhm.
become great friends with somebody who you started off just networking. When you surround yourself with people who you wish to be like, you learn something every single time, right? I'm not saying,
Yeah.
oh, let go of your friendships from middle school and from high school, from elementary. No, all I'm saying is don't kind of just incarcerate yourself to the idea of having to be stuck there. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, no, I totally get you because that it was one of those moments too. I was invited to like a little get together, right? From a lot of the old people that we know,
yes,
I went and I started talking and everything, but it's hard because you don't want to come out because it's been so long. You don't want to come out like if you're trying to school people or if you're trying to, you know what I mean? Like
mm,
you have to find that balance. But then once everybody started talking about like high school stuff and that, I was just like, bro, like that shit was fucking, a long time ago, man. Like, I don't want to continue those, like I want to create new memories, move forward from that.
yes,
So that's when I started realizing like I need to get out of here, and it's not a diss on anybody, like I'm not trying to, but that was just my spidey sense going off of like, dude, you gotta move from this because you're never gonna leave this space. And
exactly.
look, like we both have kids, and I think right now my older son, he's in middle school.
Nice.
So like friends are starting to become like really, like
Important.
yeah, yeah. Like what's last time he was like, yeah, well, dad, well, my friend, like I gotta go with my friends with, and I'm like, bro, what? And so I didn't want to break his little heart, and
Yeah.
say like, oh, this shit is not gonna matter in 10 years.
Yes.
But what's the balance, or how do you manage to where your kids in a situation? I know your sons are a little bit older,
Yeah.
but how have you managed that to where would they want to put their friends above family or anything else?
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna tell you that I have my 16-year-old and my 11-year-old. My 16-year-old does not care who likes him, who doesn't like him. If you don't want to hang out with him, good. But you know what's funny? When he was about 3 years old, I remember I'd go to the park with him, and sometimes kids wouldn't want to play with him. And I would always tell him, "You don't need anybody. You don't need anybody. You can play alone. Use your imagination and this and that." I think I hammered that into his head a little too much because I think sometimes, yes, sometimes I'm like, Julian, like that was rude. Why did you do that? He knows me. And if he doesn't know me, then he's not my friend. Like I didn't mean it, so he doesn't care too much. He's very family oriented. I think that I don't know if that's just, but at the beginning he struggled a lot in I want to say pre-K. He struggled a lot trying to just there his friends mattered a lot then, but growing up, yeah, he didn't care. Now my 11-year-old, oh, it's me vuelve loca. He drives me bananas because he's your typical, I don't know if popular kid, like where he just people attract, they gravitate towards him. And
Mhm.
I have to him I'm having to teach, hey, like look, you need to learn to establish boundaries since now. Learn to respect your family time and have that playtime, right, with your friends and have your friends over. And that's, I think, one of the biggest things that I try to bring their friends over to our house more than I allow him to go to anybody else's house. So I allow my house to be kind of like the cool house, like I think that, yes, I want to know who he's hanging around with. Like,
Mhm.
I think that that's just having a balance between being a parent to them and being a friend to them. Because I'm not against the idea of being your kids' friend, but if that role of a friendship takes over the parenting, then you're in trouble. So I
Yeah, no,
always,
I totally agree with that. Hmm.
yes, I encourage my kids to be like to talk to me, to know that I'm their safety place. I'm not gonna lash out on them because they made a mistake or any of that. On the contrary, I'm here to help guide you rather than allow your friends to guide you. So again, it's just creating that balance. And sometimes they listen, sometimes they don't. But you know about that. You know
Yeah,
about
no,
that.
definitely, definitely,
Yes.
that's why I asked, because it's one of those to where you can't, like, you want to be honest, you know what I mean? But then there's certain things that they can't comprehend yet. Like, you can be honest, but they're gonna be like, "What are you talking about?" Like, and it goes back to the experience. Like, you have to experience certain things to understand what the hell it is that's what's happening. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So that's why I was curious to it, because, but as a parent, you don't know if you're doing it 100% right. You want to do
There's
it
no
right.
manual.
Yeah, there isn't, and everybody's different, but I'm really, really, with my son, with my daughter, she's still 7, so he's still got to play that role a little bit. But with my son, I keep it 100, like, of course, not as graphic as things really are, but I tell him what the hell's going on, like, and I think it's different too, that they're men, they're boys. Because I think there is a huge difference on the way you talk to a girl, to a man. Because, like, that's one thing. Like, me growing up, I was raised by women, by my aunts, by my mom. So
Mm-hmm.
I was a little more emotional than most men, and it took a like very rough stuff to happen in my life to be like, dude, you're a fucking man, you gotta step the fuck up. Like,
Yeah.
there's nobody's coming to save you, kind of thing, you know what I mean? So I guess what I'm trying to say is it's really hard. parenting, for you, motherhood, what does it mean to you? Like, what keeps you
That's,
moving to show your boys?
I think that's a touchy subject just because I know that you remember that I grew up in a children's home in Leamore Children's Home, right? So I got pregnant at the age of 17 before you and I and Julian and everybody, we all started planning a trip to New York, remember? Oh.
Yeah. In that big red van.
Yes, that I was going to go clear my savings at Leamore so that we could take off to New York. Oh my God. Anyway, so I grew up in this children's home, and so I didn't have the best upbringing, right? I went through a lot as a kid. I wasn't your most popular kid in school, you know that. I was kind of like the ugly duckling, like just the I don't know how to explain it. I went through a lot growing up. So when I became pregnant, I struggled. I'm not going to sit here and lie and say, "Oh, like I was so excited to be a mom." No, I wasn't. I was scared. I was so nervous. I didn't want to fail this kid as bad as they had failed me. So I was scared. I think that I've gone through different phases in motherhood where I've had moments of joy, I had moments of fear, I've had moments of anxiety, I've had moments of doubt. And that's how it started. And there's so many women that I think, and I was one of them, who struggled to admit, I'm not happy about being a mom. When I first found out I was pregnant, and I came to terms with that a little after I gave birth, but I never admitted it to anyone until now. I feel fully comfortable because of where I am in life. But I think that there's no solid answer, Victor. I don't think I can tell you, oh, like this is how I feel. I can tell you how I feel about motherhood now, but I don't know that this is how I'm going to feel about motherhood in a month. It just, I think it's a wave.
Yeah.
It's a wave. And to say, well, I started struggling, and then all of a sudden it almost seemed, and I talked to my baby and I told him, I'm going to be the best mom I can be for you, and I'm going to be there for you every single game that you have. And that's how I started creating a connection with him. It was just having those bonding moments, those promises that I made to him that to this day I try my very best to keep, because I don't want to fail him. That's my mission in life, is to create somebody's dream man, because essentially that's what I'm doing. I'm raising somebody's husband, I'm raising somebody's father, I'm raising somebody's son-in-law, and I take that very seriously. And that's essentially how I feel about both of my kids. It's just, there's so much that I could say about motherhood, Victor, that could take up a whole hour, and I would never let you speak in that hour. That's how passionate I am about it. But yeah.
Well, no, dude. I'll say this, and I was there. Well, I mean, where you were pregnant the first time and
Yes.
everything, and I
You
saw
took
it play
my
out.
cake the day I gave birth.
Dude, no, like I saw it play out, and I mean, you guys were one of my closest friends that were, the first people to have a baby in our age group, and I was so happy for Julian and for yourself, and just now that to see it like play out to where it's at right now is like it's amazing, dude, and I want to congratulate you through it because I know it wasn't hard, I mean I know it wasn't easy, so I know how hard it can be, and especially at that age, that shit is fucking like that's why I wanted to talk to you. And dude, you've always been fucking positive, cool as fuck. So
Thank you.
it's crazy how perception is not our reality, right? Like we see
There,
each other,
amen. Yes.
like we see each other as a certain thing, and people see us differently. Like I saw you as that, like just cool, super positive, dude. One of the most positive people I've ever met, to be honest with
Yeah.
you, and
Thank
and and that's badass.
Yes, and I
Um,
struggled with it. I struggled so much, and nobody knew. Nobody knew what I was going through.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's and then the crazy part is that we try to suppress it,
Hmm.
but I'm glad you're at that point because I was like that too. That I was always trying to be positive and everything. When deep
Yeah.
down, I would struggle with some things, and but I would try to put the front. And now I'm just like fuck it, like who am I lying to? Like
Exactly.
I'm just lying to myself, So fuck
Exactly.
it. It's good that we're at this point.
Yes.
I wanna focus on one other thing because this was a very difficult for me. Maybe might be easier for you, but I want you to elaborate on this. It's just purpose, right? Because when you're a parent, your whole life is your kids. So it's
So
really
we
really
think.
hard to yeah, yes, exactly. So but it's hard to find your purpose or your mission in the whole sense of thing without you having to feel like, fuck, what about my kid?
Hmm.
How do you find that balance, or how did you find your purpose?
You know what, Victor? I struggled so much to find my purpose in life, and you know when I found my purpose, when I was placed in an uncomfortable situation, and that's when I got a divorce. Up when I was married to Julian, my purpose was to be a good housewife. My purpose was to be a great mom. My purpose was to be a great volunteer for, Julian's units. And that was my purpose. So every single day, I made sure that I did something to fulfill those purposes. For example, I'd make sure to volunteer or keep in contact with his his family readiness officer, to make sure that the house was clean, to make sure that I was ready for when he got home, and just things like that. I think that was my purpose. And then I decided that it was time to separate, for whatever reason. We ended up splitting, and then he ended up taking the kids for the summer. And any mom that is watching this, if you've never been without your kid, you will agree with me. When you first are kidless, it's almost like you feel lost. You feel like you don't have purpose. You feel like you don't know what to do. You don't even know yourself. It's awkward. It's uncomfortable. It's sad. It's depressing. It's like, I remember sitting on the couch crying, Victor, because I didn't know. I didn't know what to do. I I didn't know what to do. So that's when I started saying, you know what? I'm an individual. I'm a woman. Aside from being a mom, aside from having been a wife, I am a human. I am a person. I myself am an individual. And I started working towards finding individuality, making a ton of mistakes, but I started exposing myself to challenging situations. So now I teach about purpose, Victor. Now I teach individuals how to find their own purpose. And you know why we struggle to find our own purpose? Can you take a
What?
wild guess? Why?
Well, based on what I've read and stuff like that, is really because you put people in front of you,
Yeah.
and well, that's what I
That's
think. I don't
one of
know.
them. That's one of them. But the main reason why is because we're comfortable. We are comfortable. And when we're comfortable, we don't want to do anything. We're complacent. What surrounds comfort? Fear. Fear surrounds comfort. Pretend you're in a room, and that room has one door. You're in your comfort room and you open the door and you see fear. What do we tend to do?
Shut that door.
Yes, we close that door and we're like, no, 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 no. I don't want fear. That's scary. I'd rather stay here, even though I'm not happy being incarcerated in this room. I'm okay. I'm better here than going out to the unknown. But one day you grow that courage, and that's the courage I grew, to open the door and say that enough is enough. I'm going to step out. I'm going to leave this relationship with all the fear in the world, and I'm going to step out and I'm going to figure out what is out there. I open the door to fear, and I'm in a room full of fear. I'm crying, I'm depressed, I'm sad, I'm lonely. And all of a sudden, I look around and what do I see? Nothing extremely horrible. And then all of a sudden in that room, there's a door. I open that door and I step out, and there's learning. I'm surrounded by learning. Once I faced my fear, I learned. And in that learning, in that room full of learning, one last door. I open the door and I find courage. Correct? So that's
Yeah,
how
yeah.
it is. You leave your comfort to face your fears, to be able to learn and build courage so that when you're scared again, you're courageous enough to learn. It's a cycle. It's a cycle. And that's what ended up happening to me. Tenía miedo.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think we all do to an extent, dude. But okay, I wanna just go a little deeper on that because
Yeah.
yes, I totally agree that it is like comfort plays a huge role in it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think fear is the biggest one, just because like you're scared of, a lot of people are scared of just the rejection, right? But I think there's a lot of stuff. Oh, and correct me if I'm wrong, or it's just my belief, but a lot of it is passed on through like a family.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like coming, like I grew up in Juarez, right? So you have aspirations and like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do this, and your family, it will support you, like, see whatever, but in a sense, you look around you and it's like, how come nobody else, you know what I mean, has that motivation? Like what's, and it could be comfortable, but think about it, like a lot of people, like if you're not financially stable, like I wouldn't say that's really comfortable, you know what I mean? Like people are struggling. So for those people are struggling that just seem to not want more. Like why do you think that happens?
Because they don't, motivation starts with a physiological or a psychological need. If we don't feel a physiological need, we're not going to be motivated to do anything. And if we don't feel or believe in something psychological that we're in need of, we're not going to go chase anything, Victor. And I think that that's what happens to a lot of people. I can say that I want to be rich. I can say that I want to be the best mom in the world. It's so easy to talk, right? But a lot of the times we speak for other people. Like if I know that my mom wants me to be a doctor, for example, right? I'm gonna say, oh, I want to be a doctor to please her. So not that I believe it. I don't want to be a doctor. I'm just saying that. So, and we get trapped, we get tangled because now we said we want to be this, and we try to pretend that this is where we're going to be, but we don't really believe it. So we don't have a psychological need for it. And we don't have body, a physiological need for it as well. So I think that that's why this happens, that we get stuck because we don't find a need to move forward,
Mhm.
right? And then
Yeah.
we say, oh, I want to be rich. And then you focus on the results so you don't see a change, correct? So it's important for people to focus on changes so that they can eventually see results. But I think that that's why it happens because we don't find a need. When you're hungry, Victor, what are you motivated to do?
To eat.
Okay, and the longer you go without eating, the more your motivation grows, right?
Yeah, of
Hasta lo que
course.
sabe feo te sabe rico. Like because you're motivated to get something because your body's craving it, your body needs it, your body's requiring it. And that's how motivation and purpose work together. You need to have a purpose, you need to have a sense of direction to eventually be motivated to continue it, right? And I'm going to ask you a trick question, Victor. Are you ready? Are
Let's
you
go.
ready? Are you ready?
Shoot.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to ask you, does it start with attitude or does it start with behavior?
Ooh, damn. That's hard. I'm gonna say attitude. I'm gonna say attitude.
Ah, wrong. Everybody gets it
Oh
wrong.
my
Well, not
god.
necessarily wrong. But Victor, it starts with behavior. You want to know why? Because
Why?
if we wait to have the perfect attitude, if we wait for that moment to be so
Mm.
confident, if we wait for that moment that we wake up and we say today's the day, we're probably gonna spend a lot of the days on nothing. We're gonna waste time. And I hate using waste time, but we are gonna waste time because we're gonna wait and wait. But instead, if we start acting, the motivation, the attitude will follow. It's easier for the attitude to follow a behavior than it is for the other way around. Before I confuse myself, but it's a lot. It starts with behavior. It's to force yourself to get out there, to force yourself and expose yourself to something so uncomfortable, right? So,
I fucking love that, dude.
yeah,
No, that's like on point. I love it. Just the aspect of it.
yeah,
Like anybody hearing that, like if I just want to get off my chair
yes,
and just go work right now. No, like legit,
yes,
legit. That show that's a beautiful way to put it.
yes.
And look, it's all on mindset, right? Because even like what you're focusing in right now, you have that mindset, but unfortunately, it's not in everybody.
No.
It's something that has to grow. And look, I'll be honest with you, right? So a couple years ago, like like I was the gutter, dude, like worst thing ever. I fell into addiction for a while and I was really struggling with it, and it fell to a point to where I was like, dude, why the hell is this shit happening to me? Like, what the fuck? Like, I'm a good person, like, so you start like, lavándote el coco, with like a bunch of negative stuff and you're just like, what the fuck? So you start losing that self love, you start like, yeah, getting down to that gutter. So it takes that mindset to get you out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So somebody like if you were talking to me 3 years ago and I was in that, what would your approach be to get me to start loving myself again?
Ah, there's a lot, and I see this on a daily basis. I see people struggling with motivation, not necessarily addiction, because of the platform that I'm in at work. There's not too many addictions. Yes, there is, but I think self love starts with you can't love somebody you don't know. Correct? we spend
Ooh, nice.
we spend so much time getting to know our partner. We spend so much time getting to know our friends, but we don't do the same with ourselves. We don't spend enough time with ourselves. So I always tell people that that's where it starts. It starts with getting to know you. And I ask them, when was the last time you stopped and you asked yourself, hey, Adriana, how are you doing? How are you feeling? Are you happy with where you are in life? Check in with yourself so that you can start respecting yourself, so that you can start loving yourself, so that you can start getting to know your strengths, getting to know your weaknesses, right? So you can build on those weaknesses with your strengths so you can improve yourself, but you can't love somebody you do not know. So that's where self love to me starts, is in getting to know yourself, and the rest will follow. Also, and this comes from a person who's gone through a lot of abuse and a lot of negligence, emotional, and just so much. And I'm going to tell you guys this because, and I said it in one of my videos, because when I heard it, I live with it in my head. You only get to be a victim once. After that, you're a volunteer, right? So
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
are a volunteer. Can you imagine if I victimize myself and I say, oh, because I grew up around addiction, because I grew up around crime, whatever it is that I grew up around that wasn't legal, if I victimize myself, I'm wasting time, I'm wasting energy, right? I'm not at fault for my past, but I will be at fault for my present. Correct? So I
Yeah.
can't victimize myself. I can't volunteer, right? So what do? I change because I no longer want to choose that. So what you're not changing, you're choosing. So
Mhm.
essentially that's what I would tell them is get to know yourself. That's going to be the baseline. And be honest with yourself. You want to know something, Victor? The other day I was journaling, and this is hard to admit, but I'm going to admit it. I was journaling, and I love journaling. I recommend it to anybody. But I was listing my priorities. I like to check in with myself to see how my priorities are, and then next to them I list how I wish my priorities to be. But I was listing them, and my first priority, Mario, the kids. My second priority, work. My third priority, making sure the house is clean. Fourth priority, family and loved ones. And then fifth, I thought of God. I was like, so what was I going to do, Victor? I was going to go in my journal and erase number one, erase number two, so that I could push everything down and put God first, right?
Mhm.
What was I trying to do? I was trying to lie to the damn paper. I was trying to lie to myself. And I said, I was self-aware and I said, no, Adriana, right now in your life, God is number five. And shame on you. And it made me feel like garbage. But I said, right, God on number five, because that is where he came to your mind after four things. So I wrote God and it killed me. It crushed me and I felt horrible about it. But that's what self-awareness is. And that's why it's important to tap into yourself so that you know where your priorities are at so you can create change. Correct? So now on the other side, I put my priorities where I wanted God to be first. And you know what? I
Right.
also forgot myself in those
Oh,
priorities. Correct? So God, myself, and then my kids. So that's what self-love is not lying to yourself. Not it's just self-awareness. And I could talk about this all day and I would need you to invite me again another five times because there, there is so much to teach. There is so much to say. So much.
no, dude. And look, this is exactly like I think I was scrolling on social media because that's like my other job, you know?
Yeah.
Like this is my other job. This I treat this like my other job. So I'm on social media, I'm trying to figure shit out, you know, how I'm gonna approach my next posting and stuff like that. And I came across one of your posts and I was like, dude, damn, she's fucking doing her thing. And it's like that's why I was like, I gotta have her on because a lot of the stuff that you were posted on your page, dude, is a lot about positiveness. It is about mental health. It is about, and I feel like our age group right now, we are in a place to where we're old enough that our parents are, you know, the people that raised us are starting to fade away. And then we're old enough to where our kids are already becoming young adults, you know? So it's like we're in a very weird spot to where like most of us didn't grow up with a good example of what that is.
Mhm.
So when I see people handling their shit, and it's like even if it's not perfect, because none of us are, you know, I tip my hat off to that
Mhm.
because I know we all have fucking struggles, dude. You know, and
Ours.
as long as we're beating them, you know, it's cool to see,
Yes.
right? And the self love, dude, I totally agree with that. But you touched on something that I really, really is underrated, and I feel like we lost a lot of it is just God, you know? Like, I know it's cliche to some people are like, oh, this guy, he was an addict and now he's into God, you know? Like, like, I really, but it's true,
Yeah.
dude. Like, it's true. I really found myself once I got closer to God, you know, I started you start looking in the mirror more. It's kind of like a wake up
Yes.
call to where like, dude, no, you're not who you think you are or who you're trying to perceive you are. You know, this is who the fuck you are, and it's like,
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
and that's it's a big it's like a punch in the face. Like, have you ever been gotten punched in the face? You're just like, what the fuck?
No, Victor,
And
I've never been in a fight.
shut up for real.
For real, I promise. Nunca me he peleado.
Well, that's good. It's a good thing.
I know. No, nunca. I was always peace and love. I was a nerdy girl.
All right, dude. So look, that's pretty much all I got for you, or
Yeah,
that all I
sure.
kind of wanted to ask. One last message you want to give to the listeners? Feel free.
I just want to encourage everybody listening to this video to love themselves, to put themselves first. If you're struggling in life, if you're going through a breakup, if things aren't working out where your job, if you're not where you are in life, take a step back. Take a step back, assess yourself, know and recognize your strengths and your weaknesses, like I said earlier in this video, so that you can move forward. Don't be a victim of your circumstances more than once, right? So I could seriously talk about mental health and mental skills all day, but if I could give you an advice, is just that. If you don't take anything from this video, take that. You only get to be the victim once. After that, you're volunteering. And what you are not changing, you are choosing. So really, really
Awesome.
take that. Yes.
All right, dude. Thank you for coming on. We'll have to
Of
do this
course.
again soon.
Yes. Invite me, because I have so much to say. No me vas
Yeah,
a
dude.
callar.
Honestly, yeah. No, but that's good. That's the whole point of
Yeah.
this.
Mhm.
Oh, thank you, dude. I'll reach out. I'll send you the link once it's done. Y pues, yeah. Thank you once again.
I know, Victor. Thank you so much. It was so good catching up.
Ándale. Take care. Saludos a los kids and your sister, okay?
Ándale, pues igualmente.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.